Chapter 101 Sleepless Nights. After the double fat battle, the blood of all those who died in battle was the nutrients for the blood sacrifice ceremony. It could be said that the corpse-catching sect's preparation for this blood sacrifice ceremony had already put the Heavenly Tao sect and the Great Tang cultivation world to use. Of course, they themselves had lost quite a number of disciples, but those were low-level Jidan stage disciples and some regenerative zombies. Therefore, until now, the losses suffered by the corpse-catching sect were not significant. Instead, the Heavenly Tao sect and the Great Tang cultivation sector had lost numerous strong individuals, especially the Great Tang cultivators who came to watch the battle. The deaths and injuries were even more numerous. The blood of so many cultivators had ended up being used by the corpse-catching sect to complete the blood sacrifice ceremony, awakening the battle spirit of this ancient powerhouse. Such a master stroke had shocked and terrified everyone. Kang Chon was also trembling in his heart. Surprisingly, the corpse-catching sect had obtained the corpse of an ancient powerhouse. If this were to be truly resurrected, it would undoubtedly sweep the heavens and the earth, becoming invincible in the world. Of course, summoning the ancient strongman was not simple. Being careless could result in calling forth an extraterrestrial heavenly devil. If the heavenly devil took over the corpse of the ancient strongman, a world of demons would be born. It could be imagined that if it came to that, the entire flood continent would be plunged into darkness. HMPH, the supreme divine ability of my corpse-catching sect, is not something you can comprehend. When the goddess awakens, it will be the time when my corpse-catching sect reigns over the world. Ha ha ha. The headmaster of the corpse-catching sect looked disdainful. He gazed at the goddess in the blood coffin with respect and fervor. The corpse-catching sect's 10,000 years of waiting was finally coming to fruition in his generation. The corpse of an ancient powerhouse was indeed a god of war, and the corpse-catching sect, possessing this god of war, would dominate the flooded continent and be invincible. Listening to his words, the crowd trembled. The corpse-catching sect, a giant 10,000 years ago, was indeed formidable. Such a divine ability was truly heaven-defying. Ao Qian's face also carried a sense of gravity at this moment. He had not expected that the corpse-catching sect had retained such a supreme corpse. It was likely that even the old individuals within the Heavenly Tao sect had not anticipated it. Since that's the case, then I'll destroy this corpse. Ao Qian's eyes turned cold as he prepared to launch a supreme strike. He couldn't allow the corpse-catching sect to possess such a powerful corpse. Otherwise, it would be a disaster for the Heavenly Tao sect. In the distance, the corpse-catching sect master remained vigilant against him. Seeing that he was about to act, he immediately stepped forward. The blood sacrifice ceremony must not be disturbed. All corpse-catching sect disciples, listen to the order. Protect the goddess. The sect leader of the corpse-catching sect shouted, and all the disciples rushed to follow the order. Even some elders who hadn't participated in the battle summoned terrifying zombies to stop everyone. Do it. Ao Qian's face was cold, and a ruthless and icy voice emanated from his mouth. However, his expression suddenly changed, because at this moment, on the altar, within that pillar of blood-colored light, a huge change occurred. The blood sacrifice no longer continued. The blood coffin erupted with supreme light, and the empty eyes of the peerless goddess inside shot out a radiant divine splendor. At this moment, she was completely alive. The crowd was instantly shocked. The blood sacrifice ceremony was complete, and the goddess had been resurrected. The Kang heaven is dead. Yellow heaven is not alive. Heaven's way. Heaven has lost its way. This time it was no longer an ethereal voice. Within the blood coffin, the goddess opened her cherry lips and let out a clear voice. Immediately, the heavens and earth roared as a terrifying bolt of lightning tore through the void and struck towards the blood coffin. The supreme divine might shook the heavens and the earth, causing everyone to be horrified. Not good. It's divine punishment. Everyone, get ready. Open the mountain protection formation and guard the goddess. The corpse-catching sect master's face suddenly changed. He yelled at the corpse-catching sect disciples to protect the goddess. A few moments later, in the valley of the corpse-catching sect, a pillar of radiant light shot out, forming a huge defensive formation in the sky. It blocked the heavenly lightning and kept everyone else out. However, some lightning still managed to blast through and struck towards the blood coffin. But as the goddess let out a cold hum from within the blood coffin, instantly, those thunderbolts dissipated. The crowd was shocked. This goddess was too powerful. Even before fully emerging, she had attracted powerful divine punishment. It meant that the heavenly Tao wouldn't allow a figure of her caliber to appear on earth. From this, it could be seen that the power of the goddess had already exceeded the limitations of the earth. Just like a cultivator reaching the Mahayana stage to ascend to the heavenly realm. On this earth, powers beyond the Mahayana stage and above were not allowed, or else they would attract divine punishment. What a terrifying power! I'm afraid that the strength of this goddess is already enough to exterminate immortals. Kang Chon retreated to the outside of the Fendu Valley, looking with horror at the Fendu Valley, shrouded by the calamity clouds. A terrifying thunderbolt constantly split down from the sky, clearly intending to completely exterminate this goddess. Although the corpse-catching sect's mountain protection formation was powerful, it couldn't block all the thunderbolts, causing the blood coffin to suffer a lot of bombardment. Out yon divine dragon chop! Right at this moment, out yon in the sky also attacked towards the corpse-catching sect's mountain protection formation, unleashing the strongest strike ever. This strike shot the heavens and moved the earth. A huge crack appeared in the turquoise sky, and the powerful destructive force completely blasted towards the Fendu Valley, where the corpse-catching sect was located. Woo! At that instant, the corpse-catching sect's mountain protection formation erupted in a burst of radiant light, though a shocking and earth-shattering big explosion rang out. After an unknown amount of time, the light of the corpse-catching sect's mountain protection formation dimmed a bit, and then the thunderbolts in the sky took the opportunity to blast in quite a bit. Not good. The Divine Maiden has suffered a heavy blow and lost half of the power of the blood sacrifice. Suddenly, the anxious voice of an elder of the corpse-catching sect came from within the Fendu Valley. Ao Chon, I won't let you go. The crowd then heard the voice of the corpse-catching sect master in shock and anger. Ao Chon, who was outside the mountain protection formation, immediately flashed a trace of joy in his eyes. Finally, he managed to block the awakening of the goddess. Although he didn't know the details, the corpse-catching sect was obviously in trouble. After the divine punishment lasted for a full 5 hours in the sky, the countless robbery clouds slowly dissipated. All disciples, listen to the order. The corpse-catching sect will seal the mountain for 100 years, and at this moment, the gloomy voice of the corpse-catching sect master came from within the Fendu Valley. Immediately after, a thick corpse chi emerged from the valley, enveloping the entire Fendu Valley. Some cultivators who were accidentally touched by the corpse chi screamed and died, instantly turning into skeletons. The people were instantly terrified, and each of them retreated with a shout. In the sky, Ao Chon frowned as he shot a matchless immortal light forward, the terrifying energy swallowing mountains and rivers, rushing away like the Yangtze River. However, this immortal light was immediately corroded by the corpse energy and finally dissipated. Good corpse-catching sect. I, Ao Chon, can't do anything about you guys. Naturally, someone else will clean you up. Ao Chon coldly laughed. His body rushed up to the sky and returned to the giant ship. At that moment, those Heavenly Tao sect's Yuanying stage powerhouses also entered the transmission, and Fendu Old City Lord, Zhenin King, Sunji, Jin Sanchao, and Li Yuanba all went up one by one. Afterwards, the giant ship sailed and headed in the direction of Fengdu City. Seeing such a situation, the crowd looked deeply at the Fendu Valley that was shrouded in corpse chi and dispersed one by one as well. As the crowd dispersed, the corpse chi that emerged from the Fendu Valley gradually spread throughout the entire Fendu mountain range. From afar, the Fendu mountain range looked as if it had been swallowed by darkness. What a terrifying day. The depths of the corpse catching sect are simply terrifying, but none of this concerns me. My current power is still too weak, and the gap between me and these people is too great. In the middle of a forest, at the foot of Fendu Mountain, Kang Tian placed the 2 sarcophagi into the heaven-reversing cauldron, and sent a message to Emperor Dan, signaling that he could come out. Kid, what the hell happened? How did I feel a supreme aura? Even hiding in the inverse heavenly cauldron, I felt a tremor. As soon as Emperor Dan came out, he immediately asked with a face full of astonishment. It's... Kang Tian was about to explain, but an ethereal voice suddenly came in his ears. Kang Tian is dead. The yellow sky is not alive. The way of heaven, the sky has lost its way. It was the voice of that goddess again. Kang Tian was startled. Then he couldn't help but feel depressed. Kang Tian has died. Isn't this a curse on him? It's really bad luck. Immediately, Kang Tian looked towards Dan Huang, but he saw that Dan Huang had already disappeared long ago. Kid, this sound is too scary. The old man feels that the Yuan baby is almost dissipated. Emperor Dan's trembling voice came from the reverse heavenly cauldron. Kang Tian was instantly shocked. That voice had such a powerful attack on the Yuanying. Then he couldn't help but have palpitations. It was lucky that Emperor Dan didn't come out when he was at Fendu Mountain, or else he would have directly dissipated his soul. At the foot of Fendu Mountain, Kang Tian looked at the Fendu Mountain that was swallowed by darkness with palpitations. He sensed that a great power was lying dormant there, looking forward to awakening once again. Insufficient strength. It's better to come here less often. Kang Tian sighed. His body flickered and ran towards the Haoyu residence. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the woods. Since then, the battle at Fendu Mountain officially came to an end, but its impact was so great that even after a long time had passed, it was still being talked about. Imperial capital. As capital city of the Great Tang Empire, this city was already prosperous to the extreme. Whether it was the size or the facilities within the city, it was unique to the entire Great Tang Empire. At this moment, the bright moon was high in the sky. The stars were shining brightly, and within the imperial capital, it was silent. People had long since wandered off into a beautiful dream. But just at this time, an ethereal and distant voice spread throughout the entire imperial capital. The Kang heaven is dead. Yellow heaven is not alive. Heaven's way. Heaven has lost its way. The voice of the goddess crossed the layers of emptiness and came directly from Mount Fendu. Immediately, the entire imperial capital was startled. Both cultivators and ordinary residents were awakened from their dreams by this ethereal voice. In a flash, the imperial capital, which was still silent, was suddenly thrown into an uproar. And in an ordinary courtyard of the Li family in the imperial capital, a young girl woke up from her dream, sweating profusely and shouting frantically, with a look of fear in her eyes. Tinga, what's wrong? A youth rushed into the room and hugged the young girl, his face full of anxiety. After the youth's pacification, the young girl finally calmed down. Only her beautiful eyes were still filled with fear. She said with palpitations, "It's too terrifying. I just saw a goddess destroy both heaven and earth. The Kang heaven is dead. Yellow heaven is not alive. Heaven's way. Heaven has lost its way." Before the young girl could finish her sentence, the voice that came from the mouth of the goddess of Fendu Mountain had already spread throughout the entire imperial capital. At once, the young girl and the youth were shocked. "Chonjiao, who is this?" This, the young girl's face was filled with shock. She didn't dare to say it out loud, because the voice of the goddess that she heard in her dream was exactly the same as this voice. The youth at the side was also full of shock, saying, "This person has such a powerful intention. I don't know who among the imperial capital has such a powerful strength. Later I will go and inquire You continue to rest." The young girl nodded gently at the words. If Kang Chong were here, he would definitely recognize these two as Li Chongjiao and Wang Ting. Ever since the Li family had relocated, the original Li family had been arranged by the imperial capital Li family to settle in a small city, and Li Tianfang had successfully become the head of a city. On the other hand, Li Chongjiao and Wang Ting had stayed in the imperial capital Li family, where they had received focused cultivation, and their cultivation had grown by leaps and bounds.